We just understand that part of our sorry racial history in this country is that the point of view from a black person is often going to be very different and sometimes shocking. Whoopi Goldberg, who, by the way, I hope is still a friend, we can disagree with each other, should not be canceled or put off her show, as much as I totally disagree with her crazy statement, believes the Nazis were very racist. Okay.
Oh, you.
But here's what she said about Michael Vick. He's from the South. This is part of his cultural upbringing. For a lot of people, dogs are sport.
Ever notice how the people who scream loudest about helping the working class often have no idea what bread costs? Bill Maher just called out Whoopi Goldberg for this exact hypocrisy, and her response was awkward. As Whoopi struggled to defend elite liberal positions, Maher pointed out that real people care more about inflation and safety than virtue signaling. The audience reaction tells you everything you need to know about who won this battle for liberalism's soul. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Remember when liberals were the champions of free speech? These days, Bill Maher seems like the last of a dying breed. While the progressive left has shifted toward controlling narratives rather than debating them, Maher continues to stand his ground as the torchbearer for old-school liberalism that values facts, evidence, and good old-fashioned debate.
I want to talk about Whoopi Goldberg because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So she was, everybody was like, oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma. Whoopi Goldberg, who, by the way, I hope is still a friend, we can disagree with each other, should not be canceled or put off her show, as much as I totally disagree with her crazy statement. Instead of just saying he's a beast and he's a monster, this is a kid who comes from a culture where this is not questioned. Attacks me on a regular basis, she says stupid shit on a regular basis, they just happen to coincide.
The showdown between Maher and Whoopi Goldberg on The View perfectly captures this ideological civil war happening within liberalism. On one side, you've got Maher representing traditional liberal values, questioning authority, demanding transparency, and refusing to toe any party line. On the other side is Whoopi embodying the new elite liberal approach where protecting certain narratives trumps pursuing uncomfortable truths. Things got spicy when Maher challenged Whoopi about the glaring double standards in how the media treats the Biden family versus the Trump family, while Whoopi squirmed in her seat, on her own show no less. Maher refused to back down. It was like watching a chess master systematically dismantle an opponent who thought they were playing checkers. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump, Maher pointed out, his typical no-nonsense delivery making Whoopi visibly uncomfortable. He wasn't just throwing punches, he was highlighting how today's media prioritizes protecting preferred candidates over honest journalism. While Whoopi tried to dismiss these concerns, Maher wasn't having any of it. The audience could sense the momentum shifting, with Maher calmly dismantling each deflection Whoopi attempted. Every time she tried to change the subject, he brought it right back to the facts. What really struck a chord was Maher's point about the disconnect between elite liberal talking points and what everyday Americans actually care about. He explained that polling data shows Black and Hispanic voters are far more concerned with economic stability and crime than they are with progressive activism. It was a reality check that left Whoopi struggling for a response.
First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no fucking thing as karma, okay? Get over that. We just understand that part of our sorry racial history in this country is that the point of view from a black person is often going to be very different and sometimes shocking, okay? You see the point here? Again, I don't agree with her on Michael Vick, but we grew up in two different worlds. And last week, Ira Glasser, former longtime head of the ACLU, talking about free speech.
When Whoopi attempted to downplay the Hunter Biden story as overblown, Maher countered by insisting on the importance of accountability regardless of which political team someone plays for. This wasn't about partisan politics, it was about consistent principles. Funny how principles suddenly become inconvenient when they apply to your side, right? The audience reactions told the whole story. As Maher methodically picked apart Whoopi's arguments with calm precision, you could see her growing more flustered. She seemed genuinely shocked that someone someone from her own political tribe would dare to challenge the protective bubble that's been carefully constructed around certain political figures. Maher went on to highlight how the Democratic Party's shift toward progressive extremes has actually alienated key voter demographics. Black and Hispanic Americans are often more supportive of law enforcement and economic issues than the progressive agenda, he noted, pointing to yet another blind spot in the elite liberal worldview that Whoopi represents.
To a white person, I pulled the quote from when Whoopi defended Michael Vick. Remember Michael Vick was the football player who was electrocuting dogs? I mean, I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's the view.
Well,
that's the problem in America, which the white people imposed upon the black people. They are going to sometimes have a very different opinion.
What's fascinating about the exchange is how clearly it illustrates the growing divide within liberalism itself. Maher isn't a conservative. He's a liberal calling his own side to account for abandoning principles in favor of tribal politics. And that's precisely what makes his critique so devastating. Whoopi couldn't dismiss him as just another right-wing talking head. As the back and forth continued, the energy in the studio was palpable. Whoopi, usually quick with a comeback, found herself repeatedly reaching for deflections that simply didn't land. Each time she tried to pivot away from uncomfortable facts, Maher gently but firmly steered the conversation back to accountability. The knockout moment came when Maher connected the dots between President Biden's frequent claim that no one is above the law and the glaring contradiction of pardoning his own son. As he laid out this hypocrisy, Whoopi's usual confidence visibly crumbled. It wasn't just that she disagreed, she had no effective counter-argument to offer. This isn't just some TV squabble between two celebrities.
Clearly, actually,
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner. Believes the Nazis were very racist. Okay.
Oh, you.
But here's what she said about Michael Vick. He's from the South. This is part of his cultural upbringing. For a lot of people, dogs are sport. And the answer is not to make them sit in a corner for 2 weeks. That is insulting. It's so insulting.
We're witnessing a full-on battle for liberalism's soul playing out on our screens. And guess what? Regular Americans are choosing sides. More and more viewers are ditching the finger-wagging, talking down to you style that Whoopi represents. They're gravitating toward Maher's no-nonsense approach instead. As Maher himself pointed out, I would never say that we should put this wassa on the cap because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. It's half the country. I don't want to live in that country where I hate half the country. That's something the woke crowd still hasn't figured out while they're busy being professionally offended. The latest polls confirm what we already suspected. Americans are getting tired of mainstream media's one-sided narratives. They're switching channels, looking for independent voices who don't treat them like idiots. No wonder viewership for these elite liberal commentators is dropping faster than Hunter Biden's excuses. The American public isn't as dumb as Whoopi thinks, and now she knows it too.